Hey everybody, Reef Girl here, and welcome to my channel. Well, it was about time we did some maintenance on the Sicce SDC 9.0 return pumps that run this system. At this point, they'd been running for 5 months, so it was probably time. The pump marked with the green tape is the right-hand side upstairs, and I'd been noticing lately it's pushing much fewer bubbles when I do the bubble scrubbing at night. So we're going to start with this one because we thought maybe it might be a little bit dirty. In order to maintain the pump settings on the controllers, we decided simply to unplug the pumps. Originally, we wondered about only unplugging the one we're going to clean and then adjusting the controller so the other one will continue to run the whole tank. But then we'd have to rebalance everything after we're done. So we decided to simulate a power outage and just unplug the two of them. Step 1 is going to be to disable the heating system by unplugging the circulating pump from that yellow outlet down there. We don't want the heating system to be triggered if the temperature drops. The sensor is behind all these wires in the water up here, and conceivably, if this water cools down, it could start the heating coils warming up, and we don't want that because if the water down here gets too warm, it could cause problems with temperature in the main tank once the pumps are turned back on after the maintenance is done. We're going to put the pump in this container to work on it, and adding citric acid will help a little bit with cleaning any surfaces that might have grunge on them. Alright, the workstation is all set up with scrubbies and brushes. Alright, here we go. We're both a ball of nerves because we haven't done this before.
Okay.
Go for it. Pumps are stopped. Now we shut the valves off above the pumps to keep the water in the pipes, and we shut the valves off here to keep the water in the container. So what'll happen is some water will drain from upstairs through the overflow, and that will settle down through the system and go into this vessel right here. Okay, so now we're looking at what is happening with the water level up here. And we're seeing the overflow is partly drained. This will drain down. We should hear the siphon break momentarily, unless it already happened before I got up here, which is totally possible. So we're good to go. Everything's still running up here. And the only change will be temperature. And on a day like today, when the ambient air temperature is 24, that will not be a problem. So valves off. These valves are off because this container is filling up, and obviously we really don't want water coming back out of here when there's nothing to stop it. And the next step is to spin the unions and get the pumps off there.
Easier said than done.
On the floor below where the pump is being removed, we put a plastic box to catch the water that will drain out from the short stretches of pipe that are connected to the pump. Oh yeah, we got the cord.
Shut it off for a minute so I can swear.
Why?
Because now we gotta fish all this freaking wire.
Right, so one thing we need to add to our step-by-step list that we didn't think about was disconnecting the power cord from the controller. And this setup here was all designed to manage the wires. So in order to take the pump over to the workstation, we have to free up the cord that's attached to it. So there it is. It's an external mount, so it's not dirty on the outside, and we'll see what it's like on the inside. These pumps have been designed for very easy maintenance. This whole thing came apart and was cleaned up and reassembled in probably less than 10 minutes. It was really clean inside, surprisingly so. So that's a good thing. I'm pretty sure the external mounting contributes to how clean they are. This way, we'll only have to clean them about once every 6 months. And it's peace of mind to know that if they had to, they could probably go longer than that. So, one part that's still in the cleaning vessel is the O-ring. So that needs to go back on here. So this settled down to the bottom of the drain. This topped up to just above the ledge, so still lots of space in here. So even if we had let the water come down from these pipes, it still would not have been a problem for this. So the O-rings are translucent and they need to be checked to see whether there are any nicks or splits in them. And the other one is down here. You can just run your finger over it. Okay, we're good. We're good to go. Time to reinstall. Here's the tricky bit. Trying to catch the threads. There we go. Tighten. Just a bit. There we go. Don't want to crack anything. So leak check. I'm going to open this valve and see if we can see any water coming out of the pump around it. At this point, we hadn't yet figured out that there would be no leak because there was no water, and there was no way for water to get into this section because of the air that's trapped inside. And then the next leak check will be when the actual pump is running. So here's the grungy bucket. Not that much came out of there. Right, one pump going. Now we're gonna have the other pump going. All valves are open. And there we go. All pumps are going. Now let me go upstairs and see what's happening up there. Okay, what's going on here? We're still filling the tank. I'm gonna turn the bubbles on. See if there's water coming out. Remember the trapped air downstairs? It did interfere with this pump starting up right away, but eventually we got it working properly. Go around the other side. Left pump is definitely working. The overflow is starting to recover. The overflow is making its way up. It's been several hours since we did the pump cleaning, and I'm really happy to say it went extremely well, and all the levels returned to normal probably in under an hour. So now it's not going to be such a big deal to do the other pump in a couple of weeks because this went way better than we could have expected. So my husband put together a written step-by-step on how we did this, and a couple things we forgot. For example, making sure the ATOs were shut off while all this was going on. So next time we're going to follow it, refine it, and then guess what? We will have a set of instructions that anybody could use if something ever went wrong here. And it's one less thing that we might have to worry about if we ever decide to leave this thing for any length of time. So, went well. I'm glad we did it. And it wasn't all that dirty. Nighttime in the sump room, and all is well after a productive day of maintenance. We also removed the small UV sterilizer to make way for the big one that'll get hooked up soon. If you enjoyed this video, why not give it a thumbs up? And why not consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already? I have lots more to bring you. For example, getting the sterilizer hooked up. That's going to be an interesting one. And when the time comes to do the maintenance on the left-hand pump, I'll do a detailed video on taking it apart and putting it together again. Thanks so much for watching. Stay safe, everybody.